who we're ranking.
I get
this
it.
guy over here.
I get it. The podcast still hasn't started.
This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, and you might be thinking to yourself, whoa, what's going on? Usually I'm being welcomed, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, as Sean Anderson talks to you, but that's not the case today. Ricky Widmer here taking over for Sean and the fast break because he's at Riot Fest, but I'm joined, as always, by Dave Oster.
Hey, guys.
And now, coming into the studio for this week, Mike Rankin.
Hey, Sean. What's up?
What's up?
Damn.
We got a new member, guys. And for those of you on YouTube, hey, how's it going? You guys can see us.
I'll forget about you in like
this
10
week.
minutes.
Yeah, Dave will forget about the YouTubes in like 10 minutes.
And then at the end of the show, I'll just stare at the camera and be like, oh, shit.
Oh, crap. That was on me the whole time while I picked my
what are we
nose
doing? Talk basketball
and ate it.
today?
Yeah, we're going to talk a little Atlantic Division.
This is unfamiliar territory.
We're going to be looking at the Atlantic Division, kind of going through each team. And then this week, we continue our weekly rankings, and we're going to look at some six men, which were... Yeah, it was pretty hard to rank these six men, guys.
It was difficult because, with every other role, there was at least like a guideline, Shooting guards, you could just look at pure points scored. Small forwards had a little bit of everything, so you could count all their stats. But when we get to six men, it was like everybody kind of brings something different because it's not just one role. Six man isn't just your guard anymore. It's just not that way in the NBA.
Well, and then through our entire rankings, we're going to get to it later, but as we went through each position, it kind of got that way. But let's start with our divisional preview. We looked through the first two divisions we had in the East and the West. Now we're back to the East, the Atlantic Division. And I know what Sean usually has us do is he goes right through what the standings were last week, which winner all the way to the last year. This week, I kind of want to change it up a little bit because, to me, there's some teams like the 76ers and the Knicks that I want to hit
truly polarizing teams.
And I want to start with the Knicks, and it's not just because they take.
So are we going with their
our
future first place teams and going down?
Maybe
because the Knicks are the best team in the conference.
You could take this. I mean, they are a super team.
Are they though?
They are a super team, but they get Derrick Rose.
Super team.
They get Joakim Noah. They make the trade with the Bulls. That's how Rose got there. But what can we expect from the Knicks this season with Jeff Hornacek and everything that they added?
I'm really looking forward to this New York Knicks team, Dave and Ricky, because really our hometown boy, Derrick Rose,
Good thing he's gone.
Is really, you know what?
Good thing he's gone. Get out of here.
During his time with Chicago, obviously there were some changes and some bad things that went down, especially within his own camp. And we don't have to get into that. You know, we're Chicago homers here, so we've talked about it enough.
He'll be injured after 20 games.
Yeah, well, nobody can predict that. But with Derrick Rose, probably increased 20% that he will get injured because he's Derrick Rose. But as a New York Knick now, he's got one more year left before he expects to be a max paid contract.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And he's gonna play for it, obviously. And he feels that this New York Knicks team is legitimate, and rightfully so. And if you're playing alongside a guy like Carmelo Anthony, anything can happen. So I'm really looking forward to this team, especially a healthy Joakim Noah. I think he brings specifically a lot more than what Robin Lopez did to them last season. So, you know what? Absolutely. Derrick Rose says he can win every game. Let's see it happen. I
mean, in theory, you have a chance to win every game you play.
And right, that's what he meant.
I don't know if I'm believing that, though, for Derrick Rose. Look, this is a team that is loaded. Like, they have a lot of good talent on their team, but it's going to come down to fit and unselfish play. And they got the right guy for unselfish play with Joakim Noah. They got him at the 5. He's going to be able to distribute out. He'll just soak up rebounds. I pray to God he just doesn't shoot. I think that's best for everybody.
Well, that's Porzingis' job.
Exactly. You've got
you don't want to see him
the two-handed fling.
Yeah.
The fling. No. I think he'll distribute out to Porzingis and Melo, and he'll be good for that. The real question here is Derrick Rose going to have the ball in his hands more, or will Carmelo Anthony? And I feel like this is Carmelo's town. This is his team. But Derrick Rose, like you mentioned, he's going to play for that max contract. I feel like he's going to put a little extra on there, try to get control, and try to have this team run through him.
And you know what, too, with Derrick Rose? We saw a little bit of, like, the former Derrick Rose last year in Chicago.
There were highlights. I loved it,
Absolutely.
too.
So really that was his first kind of full healthy season. So if he can put together 60, 65, maybe even 70. My God, if he can put together 70 games this year, he's going to be a productive player.
I just look at it and I go, hey, you know what? I mean, Derrick Rose, Carmelo Anthony, Dave, you kind of touched on this. I look at it and go, of course you're sitting there going, well, this is Melo's team. You're stupid if you think otherwise. But when it comes down to crunch time, who's taking the final shot? Is it going to be a little bit of,
Yes.
It's Joe.
We give it to Joe. It's Joe's time. But is it going to be a Melo, hey, you know what? This is my team. I want the ball. I want to win it. Or is Derrick Rose going to be like, whoa, wait a second. I can do that too.
Isn't Derrick Rose
take it.
on final shots shooting over 50% with the game on the line or something?
He's pretty good,
He has
especially
a pretty good
against
stat for it.
Cleveland.
Unfortunately,
against Cleveland.
Yeah. Unfortunately, outside of that final shot, he is not an efficient player.
No. And really, like, for a time, there were pro basketball rankings saying that he was the least productive point guard among the starters in the NBA, which makes him the worst point guard in the NBA. But he's obviously not. His talent justifies the fact that he's not the worst point guard in the NBA. But
he's a scoring.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, he's a scoring point guard, and I feel like the Knicks fit. Like when it comes to fit wise, what would work with them better is a point guard who's not pass first, but kind of
aggressive, very aggressive,
passing more than I'm going to take it to the hole. And
well, here's
score.
the thing too, and that's when we were touching on this final shot conversation. It's a good problem to have when you have Carmelo Anthony and Derrick Rose on your team.
I don't know. There's another team out there who had a couple guys who should have been fighting over the final shot, and that
talking
cost
OKC?
Yeah, I'm talking OKC. That cost him in the Western Conference Finals. So I don't necessarily know if that's a good problem to have. I think when it comes down to it, you need to have your one go-to guy. I mean, maybe you can make certain plays for different guys off inbounds or like last second like screens and shit like that. But I think this is still Carmelo's team. I think he's still going to be the pivot point. He's their go-to guy. But, the one thing I did like that this Knicks team did this offseason was pick up Brandon Jennings as the backup to Derrick Rose, a contingency plan for them.
Well, and just not even that, just a good kind of option to be, and we're talking about him later, six man off the bench for this team.
No
and
doubt.
Dave, you said,
should he need to step up due to injury?
Yeah, due to an
it's
ACL
not a big
and a
change in
knee.
play style.
And it's not, and like that's the thing. But I just look at this team and I go, maybe it would help you more to have that guy who is going to be more of a, not necessarily all passer, but I can assist as well as score if I need to. But I want to move into a team that on the other side of this division, total upside. And that's the Philadelphia 76ers.
Wow, I can't believe the fact you just no-showed Porzingis in a Knicks conversation.
I was going to bring it in because with the Knicks, the upside is Porzingis. Porzingod, as I usually call him, if you're new to the fast break. I think Porzingis, it's just going to be with him, it's going to be simple. Get to work. He's going to improve this season.
Yeah.
We're going to see, okay, he's going to, he's the guy.
He's going to be very productive this year.
It's not going to be anything where it's, I kind of want to say, it's not going to be flashy, but it will when he gets in there and gets some blocks.
But when you have Derrick Rose and Carmelo Anthony fighting for the number 1, number 2, now Porzingis is your 3, where last year he was your 2.
Sure.
So now he's going to see maybe a smaller role in this offense?
I think the front court's going to be fine because him and Joe are going to mesh because Joe's an energy guy and isn't that that big ego kind of a guy. And really, so him and Joe will mesh.
Really, Joakim Noah, too, will give you second chance opportunities, and Porzingis will clean it up on the boards himself. But you said he's their third option, but in that front court, he is their scoring threat. Yeah. So I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
No question about it.
Down low, he's the number 1. Joe's more of the defensive guy, but Porzingis, you can't knock on his defense either.
No, he's got reach on everybody.
He'll get up there and swat it down. But, I mean, the Sixers, though, with the potential I'm talking about with them, number 1 pick in Brandon Ingram, trust in the process, looks like it's finally going to pay off. You got Joel Embiid looking like he may come back. We were all talking in the offseason, well, do they trade Ja? Do they trade Noel? Well, they kept them both, and they got this loaded front court. I'm going to start there in the front court. If you are the head coach of the Sixers, putting you in those shoes, who are you starting game 1 at the 4 and the 5? Out of Embiid, Noel, and Ja.
Now, you may think I'm crazy here, but I would go Nerlens and Joel. I think
Even though you love...
I love Ja. He's a scoring monster.
But you love Embiid more.
But I love Embiid more. Look, this guy was taken 3 overall due to his injuries. Had he not had that injury, he was overwhelmingly 1, not even close, because he has the potential to do crazy things. He has flashes of what we had seen in Hakeem Olajuwon. He has flashes of what we saw in Shaq. He has all-time great qualities. And due to his health concerns, we haven't got to see him play a single game in the NBA. And this is finally the year. The hype is real. He's grown. He's gotten stronger. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten faster. His offseason, like Instagram, his highlights, his vines, everything you see of him is just dominating. And he looks so good.
Yeah.
And I want that to be
Dave's
true.
Dave's on the Embiid hype train. Absolutely.
I believe in the hype. I want to see him
Well,
play.
you look at the only two guys drafted ahead of him, Andrew Wiggins, who's going to have a pretty good year with the
Yeah,
Timberwolves.
some say he's pretty good.
would
Gonna
love to
a
have him
pretty
on the
good
Bulls.
year. And
Yeah.
then Jabari Parker, who looked good, had
Oh.
injury, and now it's like, can you come back from that
Yes.
injury successfully and
I will.
continue your
both
career?
of them are good, but
Yeah.
Embiid is a guy who could be a generational talent, barring health.
Don't forget who the Sixers also got. I want to say, if I do the math, 9 picks later in that draft, a guy who's just coming over from overseas, Dave.
Dario
Little
Saric?
Dario Saric, who he's going to be coming over as well. Same draft class.
He is a utility knight for them. Look, he has the ability to play as a distributor, as a scorer, rebounder. Like, he kind of fits that mold, and I don't see him taking over. I see him being a great fit for whatever they need him to do. He is their Swiss Army knife.
But do we think that he's going to, like, how many minutes? See, that's the thing with Dario. How
They've
many
got
minutes?
a lot of guys on this roster. I don't know how they're going to balance minutes.
I look at, and you guys may hate us because of our rankings for it, but I use the Real GM as kind of the base for the depth charts in the NBA. And right now they got Saric as like a limited playing time guy. However,
Which is just a flat out lie.
you look at their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys they have in limited playing time. How much time do we think Dario, I almost said Sario, Dario is going to play off the bench because he's not going to start day one?
I'm looking at the Sixers team, and just to answer your question real quick, I would go with Okafor and Noel to start, but Embiid's gonna eventually overtake that starting spot, whether it's a power forward or center. I don't know if he's built more as a center.
He is built as a center, but again, he can do everything.
Right.
That's
Okay.
his shot from the outside.
So he's going to find
is good.
plenty of minutes.
Yeah.
A guy I'm looking at is Timothy Luwawu. Like this player, I thought it was the 20th pick. So they had 2 first-round
They had
picks?
2 first rounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think they nailed it. I think they absolutely nailed it. And you're right, Dave. This team has a ton of depth, and they're going to have to mix and match with their minutes.
They're gonna average 20 minutes a player in order to get every guy out there on the floor.
I mean, at this point, you're the Sixers. You just play guys, and then you figure it
Exactly.
out. And then once you figure it out, you have your set.
That's
8.
how they find the guys they're gonna trade away for value.
Sure.
You give them all the minutes,
Sure.
and then you get good value for them.
I think what I'm looking at this team right now, and I'm telling you, this will probably happen. We talked about it, and I want to say it was our shooting guard ranking video of Nick Stauskas, not that good of a shooting guard. What I think is eventually going to happen this season is, we started Ben Simmons off at the 3. You know what? He's basically like a LeBron. He can play the point. He can play here. He can play this.
Ben Simmons.
We're going to move him to the 2.
Didn't even look at him.
And then we're going to have either Timothy or Dario step up and be that 3.
Yeah, this Sixers team is impressive.
Or-
I'm very
or
excited
they
about
say-
this
I don't
team.
know what impressive,
or
but they're
they
going to be
say-
fun to
in terms
watch,
of
and they
on
could
pa-
develop.
you look
They're
at the talent on
versatile.
paper.
They're versatile in their mixes and matches.
they're-
Because they could also do, let's say it's like, you know what? We want to go big lineup out there, kind of like what we saw teams do against the Warriors. They could say, fuck it. We're going to go Bayless as our point guard, then Simmons at the 2, Nerlens at the 3, then Ja and Embiid down low.
I want to call your bullshit, though. Ben Simmons can't play the 2. The man has no shot. He's just a shit shooter.
Then put him at the 1 and
I'm-
put Bayless at the
well,
2.
that's the thing.
The thing is that shooting guard is a weak, like Henderson. To me, Henderson is better than Stauskas.
Stauskas stretches the floor better than Henderson.
Maybe,
That's the thing.
Maybe
and
you put,
they have too many
you put
bigs, so
Timothy
they're
too,
crowding the paint.
Because Timothy's a better shooter than Ben
and
Simmons.
I would absolutely agree with that. I think Ben Simmons, like you said, the best case scenario is you are a LeBron style player, Giannis style player,
with the passing of Magic Johnson,
correct,
it seems.
correct. So I want to believe that, but his shot is so rough. He needs to work on that. His passing, the team needs to catch up to him. On how to react to his passing, because he's like 2 steps ahead of everybody else in that team.
And they'll get that the more they play
exactly.
with him.
Yeah. That's,
Like,
I'm
it'll
with
be
you on
one of
that,
those
but-
things where it's like you'll just expect that pass coming because you're used to it so much.
It's just the space on the floor is my concern for this team, because, like you said, they've got so many bigs, and you need somebody like Nick Stauskas out there who can stretch the floor. Someone like Timothy who can stretch the floor out. And Dario, same thing, because you can't roll Nerlens and Ja, and we saw the deficit of having them play next to each other. And it's just so crowded down low. And then we're talking about, we need to make time for Embiid down there. Embiid can get a little bit further away from the basket than Ja can. Nerlens is developing a shot. Look, this team has so much potential. It's just potential. That's all they are right now.
I know this is more of an end of this kind of a segment discussion, but I'm going to throw this question out anyways just for the Sixers. Where do you guys think they finish? Like, right now, what are you feeling?
Above
Are they
Brooklyn.
last? Are they
I think above
Brooklyn?
Brooklyn is the expectation.
Are they third? Could we see them maybe
No.
go above a New York team?
No.
No.
Maybe
I don't think they're
injuries
there
bring
yet,
New
but
York
I think
down?
they're definitely better than 10 wins, and that goes without saying. I don't know,
Barring
man.
some horrifying injury, they're definitely a better team than Brooklyn.
As a Bulls fan who would love to see the Bulls go younger and more athletic, which they didn't, I look at the Sixers team, and this is something to be very excited about if you're
As you
a Philly
can't
fan.
tell, Rankin's still a little salty about that.
A lot of salt.
But let's be honest. The big question is, when is the process worth it? Because we watched the Sixers
I
be
think
so
we have-
terrible.
we
They
have
went
to
from a
see it.
playoff team. You got to remember, this was a playoff team just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 years
Well,
ago.
it
And
was
then-
Derrick Rose's injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they've emptied house. They've turned over. They've been a miserably god awful team,
Terrible.
Trust in the-
unable to
hashtag
watch
trust
team.
in the process, man.
Minus
trust in the
the
process.
highlights of Ish and
It was
the
delayed a
former
little
rookie
bit.
of the year.
And that's why this year, to me, with the Sixers, I think you need to see some type of a push forward. It can't be
In that win
we're a
column.
it's not like it can't be we're a dismal team. We're going to be a top 3 pick again, because then the process is failing you, even though you got a Ben Simmons.
Do you think one of their bigs is gone by the end of this year?
I was going to throw that out there. Maybe, like, it depends on how they
Okafor.
play. It's either going to be Okafor or Embiid, because those two take up the same. Like,
No,
I know that
Embiid's
they
all
hit-
around. The problem is his health. And
Yeah.
Okafor, while healthy, questionably defensive. So I feel like Nerlens is a safe guy because he's a
the
defensive
vet,
stud.
He's the vet of
And
those
he's
three.
efficient.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you have Ja, who, I mean, all-time scoring monster down low, and he's like 20. I mean, he's an absolute stud in the paint. But I just don't know if that's how they want to build around. But can they trust a guy like Joel Embiid, who hasn't been there healthy for them? So I feel like they're gonna hold on to everybody. This is gonna be awful.